We can't curse on this, can we?
Yeah, we can. You can say what you want.
Oh, no. Some people just don't fuck with me.
Shit Meet Fan, a new play making its world premiere at MCC Theater in New York City. This has to be one of the best selling shows in New York right now because I went to get tickets, and let me tell you, the availability is limited. But I mean, there's no surprise when you've got stars like Neil Patrick Harris, Constance Wu, and before he had to step away, Billy Magnuson. And guess what? We've got the playwright and director of this sold out satire joining us on the show today. My name is Hassiem Muhammad, and you are listening to The Actor's Instrument, where we discuss the essential qualities you need to stand out in the entertainment industry. Joining me today is Tony Award nominee Robert O'Hara, acclaimed playwright and director known for his plays Bootycandy and Barbecue, as well as his directorial statements with Jelly's Last Jam, Richard III, and A Raisin in the Sun at the Public Theater, and of course, Slave Play on Broadway, among many others. Robert, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right, let's talk about this impossible play to see. uh,
Mhm.
Shit Meets Fan at MCC. It's hard. I mean, I think there's one date this month, literally one show this month where you can still get tickets. Can you just tell us a bit about the show?
So the show is a play based on a movie called an Italian movie called The Perfect Strangers. And it was made in 2016. And it has the distinction of being in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most remade movie in the history of movies. I think there's been 24 remakes of this movie. Uh, and it was only made in 2016. And so the premise of the story is very simple. A group of friends get together and they decide to play a game together in which they decide to leave all their phones on and open. And anything that comes into their phone, they reveal to the room. Any texts, any emails, any phone calls, all of that. And then, of course, the shit hits the fan. So I came up with the title "Shit Hits the Fan" because that's basically what happens when you allow people to go into your private, phone. So that's
That
in a
in a
nutshell
nutshell,
what it
what it is.
is. What I did is I was asked to, do an adaptation of it, an English American adaptation of it, because that's the only place really that it hasn't been done yet, and I the other, interpretations were interpretations in which everybody was Italian or everybody was Mexican or everybody was Chinese or whatever. So there's all these different films, but they're all the same. And so I said in America, I wanted to add a little bit of diversity to it because that's what we deal with here. And also, if um, it was a very polite movie in a way, and so I wanted to make it a little bit unpolite. Um, so that's the nature of this play.
I love it, and I think that's kind of a hallmark of your work. Um, I love that you use the word unpolite. Um, I I feel like I do a lot of, when I'm between contracts, I do a lot of teaching, and I'll often tell people I'm working with that, like, it's not about being nice, it's yes, obviously, like, as a person, you wanna be, like, a nice collaborator or whatever, but you're not always doing justice to the task at hand by being nice. Um so I appreciate that you kinda have that style about your work.
But there's also sort of the nature of people want to live vicariously through characters that they see on the stage. And so you want to give conflict, you know? So in order to get conflict, you have to have two people wanting something that is dangerous and that someone feels the need to not let them get, or someone feels the need to make sure they get. And so niceties sometimes, can be used. And I do like to sort of like lure the audience in and let them feel comfortable before I sort of choke them in a bit.
Heard.
Yeah.
I would just love for you to touch for a moment on kind of your upbringing. You're from Cincinnati. How has that played into, the first thing you said about this adaptation for you was adding an element of diversity to the show.
Mm,
Can you just talk
mm.
about that piece?
Well, Cincinnati, was a great place to grow up in, but, once I always say I escaped at 18, because there was something there that I sort of like, and it probably was my family, because my family was this madhouse of individuals, and I loved them to death. But I had to run to and escape, and so then I went to school in Boston, and I say I escaped there after 4 years as well. So my life has been sort of, a series of escapes. And I think it was because I wanted to sort of try to find out who I was and define myself. And when I think of Cincinnati as an adult, I feel like it's very conservative. But as a kid, I didn't feel that way. But there was something in me that wanted to sort of see what else was out there. And it was probably being a black queer kid uh, that did it. Uh, and so I have always been looked at as a different than the mainstream. And I say a different because um, it is a particular feeling, and it's not just I don't feel welcome or I feel like someone's watching me, but there's something inside the way I think about life, because people see me in a different way that I'm forced to see them in a different way. I mean, James Baldwin, I'm gonna mess this quote up. Um, that until white people stop believing that they're white, I cannot stop believing that I'm black. And that because you believe you're white and that means something, and I know I am not you and don't look like you, then I must believe that I am something else, and I choose to believe who I look like. So that's been my worldview, and so I don't have the luxury of walking down the street and just seeing nice things and seeing
Right.
polite things. My body and my sexuality and my politics don't allow me that freedom, and so I don't allow the audience that freedom. I always say, everyone is welcome and no one is safe. Uh, and I think the theater has this illusion that you're coming to be entertained and to be comforted, but no one's entertaining me or comforting me. So I don't want you to feel like you should come here to find comfort. You should come here and find challenging issues and stuff. Why should I make your life easier? you know, to come see my work. So that's basically the sort of the way I walk through life and also the way I work, actually.
Heard. I have so much respect for that. I have so much I hate when I go see I'm really anything that feels safe to me. And it doesn't not just a play, like, if it's a dance concert and I don't see that the choreography requires the dancers to take risks. It's just like, I'm like, what are we doing here? We have such a gift that's been given to us as artists to create something new, to put something up on stage, and then you have a captive audience who is paid to see your work. And I'm like, they come there and then, maybe you just placate or whatever. So no, I have a ton of respect for that approach.
And I think that, I not to cut you off, but I think that there's enough of that already out there,
Right.
that they don't need me to contribute to safe work. I mean, there's enough. If you want to just go be entertained, there's a whole, mile of theaters in New York that you can go and get your
Facts.
entertainment from.
Facts.
So
Facts.
yeah.
Now, and you reminded me of, so I graduated 2018. That was a year of slave play. So I was coming to New York kind of in the middle of, and I just remember hearing so many opinions about this show that was like, people didn't know what to do with it. But I still remember, like, 6 years later, this opinion that it was like, not every show is for you.
Mhm.
And like you said, like, there's so much out there. Like, go see, I think Frozen was up at the time. Go see Frozen if like, go see Frozen if you just wanna, like, kick back and, like, chill for the night and,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and so I
I mean,
think
it's a building with the word slave on it. What are you expecting? You know what I mean? You walked into a building with the word slave on it, and you're looking for, laughs. You're looking for what? You're looking for, there are laughs, but if you're looking just to be comforted by laughter, you should have gone down the street to some other place. You know what I mean? So I think that at some point you have to actually take accountability that you actually walked in here. And I always say, in a sort of strange ways, like, people are always looking for something to come for. to come and take down. And all that controversy about slave play, half those people didn't even see slave play, would never even see slave play. We're outraged by the fact that there was a play called Slave Play. And I'm like, well, what country are you in? Like, we didn't invent this, you know?
Right.
And so, I think that the people who were there who wanted to come see it are the people who we want to see it. There's that sort of thing like, who's your audience? My audience is whoever sits in this seat. That's my
Okay.
audience. Whoever decides they want to come see this play, you know?
Yeah,
So,
say
yeah.
that. Yeah. I saw something else I saw when I was, looking some stuff up is that you were recently signed by CAA earlier this summer. To be completely honest, I don't really know what that means for a direct for a director in theater. Like when an actor gets signed to CAA or WME, it's like, oh my god, like, and so I'm like, obviously it is a big deal, like not to take away, but genuinely, I'm like, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but something I do know that it means is that you're highly sought after at a minimum. You know what I'm saying? Like at a minimum, and not to, blow smoke up your proverbial skirt, but it says that Robert O'Hara has stamped themselves, in, the American theater scene to the point where literally the biggest agency on earth wants to represent them. Um, I bring this up to say, I'm looking at the cast of Shit Meets Fan, and I'm like, there's some not just heavy hitters, but some names. And I wonder, Robert, you as your career has ascended, what does it look like now when there are kind of these other pieces at play? I remember Ryan Coogler talking about the casting process for Black Panther, and he was like, it was so weird not having complete control over the cast for the first time, you know? And so I wonder if you have experienced any of that as you're now at this new spot in your career.
Well, CAA had been pursuing me for some time. And I had said no, over the years, only because I was happy with where I was, and I had a very personal relationship with my agent. And then, how it happened is that my agency went kaput. Uh, I was with A3, and they went out of business. Yeah. And so, once that was known in the industry, a lot of different agencies began calling me. So I met with a few. Uh, and CAA, actually, I never had a team of people. It was always just me and my agent. And of course, he had his agency or what have you. So I think that one of the things that they said is that they actually, um, the theater department meets regularly with the film department and meets regularly with the television department, you know? So they have I don't have to say, "Oh, I'm interested in these other avenues." That's a part of the culture there. And so that was great for me. Um, and so that I think is what happens. In terms of the casting, I'm always the final word of casting, and as the director is. Now the director doesn't hire, but the director says who I will not work with or who I want to work because I'm not paying anyone. I'm on the same payroll as the actors are on, but I'm getting paid by the same people who are paying the actors, right? So I have the ability of saying I don't want that person, but I can't say I demand this person. I can do that and then go, well, I'm not going to do the show if I don't get this person. But the process of casting a shit meets fan, um, w- because of the nature of the play, I wanted, as I said before, the audience to come in and sort of see familiar faces uh, and to think that they're seeing a play that those faces fit into, you know, and so that they can feel like there's a sense of comfort. And then these faces begin to say things that you don't normally hear them say. And so that was part of the goal of it. I didn't know that we would get this cast, but I was very excited by them. Uh, and so this particular casting, it was for the benefit of the surprise of the actual play, and they're doing that very well, actually.
I see, I see. Okay, cool. Yeah, because my first thought, I'm looking at the cast, I'm like, okay, create like, arguably some of the best reps that one could have. And I just wonder about when someone gets to a certain point in their career, you talk about I mean, you seem very precious about the way you work and very and I don't know if precious is a word, but at a minimum intentional, like very intentional
Mm.
about the way that you work. And so I feel like there's this element of sometimes you see when people get to a certain point in their career, there's these other factors that start coming into play. And
Certainly.
and for someone with such a unique and specific voice, yeah, I was just curious like how that begins to mesh.
It's difficult only because, I've been myself for 54 years now. I have relationships. I have artistic friendships. I have people who I worked with that would have liked to come in and audition for the play, but we didn't have auditions for every role. We made offers, and people who will only accept offers, are a particular type of people, and then there are people who will come in and audition for you as a whole other group of people, So it really depends on, the project, but for me, it is about making sure that everyone, is ready to tell the story that is the most exciting version, and that they are also fearless in a way. And sometimes you mess up. Sometimes you get a group of people and a couple of people are not fearless and they're afraid of, although they've read the play, although they know my work or what have you. Once you're inside of it, it's like, oh, I wasn't thinking we were gonna go all the way here with it or what have you. That's a tricky thing, but the only reason why I think that I have whatever career I have is because I maintain my identity. I cannot write like, Sam Hunter or various other playwrights. Like, I can't write and I don't direct like various other directors, So the only both the good and the bad is that, I am uniquely myself. And some people want that and some people don't, mess with that. We can't curse on this, can we?
Yeah, we can. You can say what you want.
Oh, no. Some people just don't fuck with me. Um,
Sure.
and some people do fuck with me. So I choose to be around people who fuck uh, and not try and go and find people to try to get them to be in to like me. You know what I mean? I think that artists we spend so much time trying to get people to look at me, that we forget that we can just turn around and there's a group of people over here who are already staring at you. You just had your back to them, you know? Um, and we're searching so much for like, especially like the idea of like I'm searching for the CAA thing. There's a lot of people that are CAA clients and ain't working, you know? So, they may have the opportunities, but there's no way that every client that CAA represents has a job at this moment. That's impossible that for that to be true. Um, so I think you have to go to the people that are looking in your direction as opposed to trying to spin people into your direction. And the way you find those people is being uniquely who you are, finding work that speaks to you, right? Uh, and hopefully it will those people will find you, you know?
Mm.
And so,
Now,
yeah.
no, I love that we're getting to this place. And with that being said, if an actor is like, "Oh my god, I love Robert O'Hara's work. I want to work with Robert O'Hara." How would you recommend that person I don't know if maybe pitch themselves is the right way to put it. Maybe like pitch themselves or maybe how does that person begin to navigate their way to a collaboration with you?
Well, I only do a certain amount of projects. So I'm often getting people write me and go, "Hey, I really love to audition for this, and I really love to get to know you," and blah blah blah. And so I have to also protect my own artistry. I can't be everything to everyone, you know. And so when people do interact with me, or people do sort of like write me or have you, I direct them to the casting agent, and the fact that I am directing you to the casting agent is better than you just calling up the casting agent and saying, "I want to work with Robert O'Hara."
Right.
I can have lunch and coffee with everybody that wants to work with me. Um, and I also have a history of collaborations. You know what I mean? So it's difficult because I recently had that happen, and it happens more and more now. that someone has a project or someone wants to be engaging with me, but I can't, follow every lead. Uh, and so what I try to be is kind and respectful and send them in the direction. Uh, and also, allow people to send me their resume or, and other reel, and I'll keep them in mind as I can. But you're not going to get a job with me by writing saying, I want a job with you. Know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
have to go through a process as everyone else, and I can sort of like point you in the direction of the beginning of that process. Um, but the idea that you want to work with me and that's enough for you to work with me is silly, really. I mean, I want to work with whatever. Can I work with Tom Cruise? Can I just write him up and be like, yeah, hey, I got a movie in mind. Can you do it? You know what I mean? No, there's a process, and so if one can be so kind as to direct you to the line of that process. That's all I think one can ask of another artist.
Yeah. And I mean, to be clear, I'd consider that a win. If you
Yeah.
reach out to a director or somebody and you say, "Hey, I wanna work with you," and they forward you they're like, "Hey, nice to meet you, blase, blase. I'm gonna direct you to so and so." Listen, because there's a lot of emails that go unopened and unread.
Yes, yeah, and I open all my emails, and I also tell actors, I mean, the way I got my first agent was that, uh, I was interning, in grad school at the Public Theater, and the artistic director was George Wolfe, and he was an idol of mine, uh, and so I became as assistant director on a couple of projects with in graduate school, you have to internship, and the graduate school pays for your internship, so there was no money coming from the public, it was coming from my school. And so I got to know him and I worked on a couple of projects. And one day at the end of my graduate studies, I said to him, so I'm looking for an agent now. Who do you think I should look into? And he said something to the effect like, well, because you write and direct, I know David Mamet has this interesting agent. Why don't you write to him? And like, I was like, oh, great. So I called up the agent and I said, oh, George Wolf thinks you should be my agent. Now, George Wolf did not say that he should be my agent, but just use that name to lop on top of another name. You know what I mean? And so if you write to Robert O'Hara and you say, "Oh, well, Robert O'Hara said that I should write to you as a casting director of his show," you know, and that sort of like gives you just a little bit. Otherwise, you're just somebody with an email,
Right,
you know, who just wrote
right.
me. So it is a win. So that's why it was helped. I was helped that way, and I try and help other people that way.
Mm, sure. No, I love that tactic because you do often I've talked to, many folks on this show and the amount of just like emails that they get and communication they get, and it's just like, listen, we can't all and so, you throwing that all extra piece of credibility on top of it, yeah, brilliant tactic. Now, in terms of so once the actor does get in the room with you, you know, as you've said, your work is it's not safe. It's often dangerous. It's challenging. It challenges the actors. It challenges the audience. And if anybody's read your work that you've written, they can see that it often explores the lives of marginalized people, right? Um, specifically race, gender identity, etc. When you're in the room with these actors, how do you help to ensure that they are portraying these experiences with authenticity and sensitivity, knowing that this work is so personal to you? Is that something that, like, needs to be clear with you, like, in the audition room? Is that something that you're like, "I just need to see a little hint, and we gonna work on it in the room?"
Mm. I think that, um, I try whenever I'm in the room at the auditioning, and I don't really like auditioning people because I find it to be, um, a little bit, scary for both of us,
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I want everyone to win when they come into the audition room. And so one of the things that I do just to sort of check out sort of like their, mind meld, if you will, with me, is certain people will come in, they'll do a scene or do a side or whatever, and then I will look at them and I say, just for no reason, I'll say, I want you to think about whatever that choice is that you made. What is the largest choice that you were working on in that take, and do the opposite. So I want you to take a moment, identify what the choice is that you made that you would really hold on to, and I want you to do the opposite choice, just to see Can you flip upside down? Can you just go and flip it? You know, because I need you to be able to jump with me and to flip with me, and just the way that they take. Now, some people will do it again and do the exact same thing. Some people will do it and do a complete huge shift. And I always say, I can't see the adjustment unless it's big enough. You don't adjust tiny. You're on a stage, right? You're in front of me, you're presenting something. I have to see the adjustment to know that you've adjusted. You can't just go, oh, in my head, I got it. And then there's no physical language, vocal difference or whatever. You know what I mean? So I say that's one of the ways I sort of find out if I'm auditioning, right? And so if you don't have the luxury of auditioning, if you're offering the parts, then you sort of, is it's basically catch if you can. And so you're in the room and you're hoping that people meld in with each other. But one of the things in the room that's important is that everyone feels like they're heard, you know, and that they're part of the brain trust of the piece. And so I have this technique that I call triage when I'm working with actors. And so it begins with something called landscaping. I don't like to use the word blocking because it feels so solid and so rigid. And so I say landscaping because you can shape it and and cut it up and do it all this different type of things. And so once we have sort of made a pass of like standing up on our feet and like going through maybe this, maybe that, whatever, then I turn to the cast and really everyone involved in the project, and I say, all right, now we're going to triage, and that means I'm going to hand you a piece of paper, and you tell me where it hurts. So you tell me where it is that you feel you need more clarity, where you have an idea that you want to try and check out here, a change in whatever. And it's about you personally. You don't go and talk to your fellow actor and go, so what should we work on? It's about what do you need to do your job better? We make a list and we start to hit those lists. And then we do another run of the landscaping, right? So by the end of the rehearsal process, everyone has literally been able to say, I have this thought. I don't understand this. I would love to work on this moment again. You know, um, so that's what I call triage, and that's an easy way for me to just make sure that everyone in the room has a say in what is being seen on stage. Certain things may not work, but the fact that if you speak it is in the room.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a collaborative approach to doing the work. And, as somebody, who writes and directs a lot of their work, I mean, it'd be easy for you to just be like, no, this is what it's supposed to be. And I know because I wrote it, and so the fact that you allow the other creatives in the room to, have a voice in the process, I love that.
And the fact that I wrote it means I don't know. And in fact, I wrote it in a room by myself at a computer. We are now in a room with living sentient beings trying to make this work. Now, because it worked on a piece of paper or on my computer screen does not mean that I know what it's going to feel like when you stand up and have to go over there and get that cup of water and come across this and land there. You know what I mean? So I'm there to learn about what's on the paper as much as you're there to embody what's on the paper. Yeah. I think that everyone, and I maintain the right to not know, to say, I don't know, because some people think, oh, he wrote it. So what does this mean? You know, and I maintain the right to go, I don't know. What do you think it means? And as a director and as a writer, I maintain that right to not know because I think perfection is white supremacist. There's this idea that theater is supposed to operate in a certain way. And that's because of what white people have shown us is what is supposed to happen in the American theater, in theater in
Okay.
general. And I'm not that. And so I don't think I'm here to perfect anything. I'm here to ask questions and to challenge an audience. I'm
Yeah.
not here to perfect anything. Um,
Mm,
and that's very important to me.
yeah. And so in that process, what do you do when, you're in triage and an actor presents something that maybe you do have a strong opinion on that you disagree with?
Oh, I say we're going to go to another direction. I mean, it's not a democracy. You got your chance to. I mean,
Okay.
when you go into triage and you go to the doctor and go, "Hey, my arm hurts," And the doctor goes, "Okay, well, let me put it in." It's like, "No, I know where. Give me that pill and take that instrument and knock my arm this way." You don't tell this doctor what to do.
Okay, why
This
you
doctor
here?
is exactly,
It's like, what
and you don't go in the triage and go, "I'm hurt." Because if you go into and say, "I'm hurt," they're gonna sit you in a corner until you can say, "My elbow hurts right here," or my so triage is not, "Oh, I just wanna work on the play." We gonna work on the play. It's called rehearsal. I need to know where it hurts for you so that we can actually identify something, work on something, and then we're gonna ultimately run the scene again, you know? So, uh and it's not a democracy. We don't take a vote. Like, if it doesn't work, I'm gonna go, "No, we're gonna try something else. Let's try the other thing," you know? But you had had the opportunity to express your opinion, in the room. And if you don't give actors that opportunity, they will take it out on that damn stage when you leave and when you're not looking, you know, and it will come out in various ways. That's when and you're in the 3rd week of rehearsal and an actor stops you in tech and goes, "I don't understand what I'm doing here. I don't understand why I have this cup in my hand. I don't understand why I'm dressed this way. I don't even know what the scene is about." And you've been doing it for 3.5 weeks. And that's because you've never asked the actor, does it hurt in a way? You know what I mean? All of a sudden, they don't even know why they're, on stage.
Right.
And we've been on stage for 3 weeks.
Right. That's
Um,
right.
so it's allowing space for not knowing and having different opinions in the room, so therefore you can come to an opinion.
Mm, mm, come on, you just dropping gem after gem. Speak that. No, because I mean, like, listen, we in the audience, I mean, maybe not, but I, listened to an interview you did at Playwrights Horizons, and you said, like, New York audiences are savvy.
Mm,
They've seen a lot. And so when
yeah,
we go to the theater, we can see when there hasn't been that collaborative process in the room. Like, you can see it when you're like, "Something's off here." Like, along the way, there were a couple of creative beings in the room, and they did not come to a consensus. It's
yeah.
clear.
Yeah, I always say that, to young writers, I'm like, the process of you writing this play will be the process of the audience seeing it. So if you put down everything in its logical order, the audience will get ahead of you because they know what logic is. But if you write, say, this scene happens here, let me write what is not supposed to happen next. What is the scene that is not supposed to come after this? You know, where am I not supposed to be in this scene, you know? And if you can build a roller coaster in that way of like secret passageways and places that are not supposed to happen here, maybe you skip that next scene, you put that next scene at the end of the play or what have you. It keeps the audience alive, and just as the experience of creating a piece of work is the experience the audience going to take. If someone is sitting at a table and talking at you for 3.5 weeks, and then one week you guys get up and he just tells you, okay, you stand here, you stand there, you do that, whatever. That's what the experience of the audience is going to be.
Yep.
That you guys sat down and destroyed this play at the table.
Yep.
And then someone got up and said, "Oh, we got to make a play. We got to open the show." Okay, well, go here, go here, go there. You know what I'm saying? So it feels that way, um, especially in New York.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I've got one final question for you, which is, what is the defining quality or qualities that you look for in actors that you like to work with? You said it before, you have your people, you have your relationships. Why those people? What do they possess that makes you go like, those are the folks I want to collaborate with?
I just have to say, it's the people who are ready to jump off the cliff and know that we can fly. But you have to jump. You can't step. You have to jump because there's a suspension of disbelief. If I believe I can fly, then I am flying when I raise my hands in the air and twist my body and like there's wind behind me because I'm making this all up. You know what I mean? It's the idea that we sometimes believe that only white people can outrace a tornado or outlive spies and jump
Uh-huh.
through cars and stuff like that. And we began to, oh, Tom Cruise can, undo nuclear war. You're just like, no, he just has made us believe it. So I like people who actually are ready to jump off a cliff and knowing that the work that we do will sustain them and suspend the disbelief of the audience. And therefore we will be in midair flying.
I'm holding on to that one. I'm holding on to that one. That was yes, yes, you have to jump. Robert, look, you said it earlier. You can't engage with everybody. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you've chosen to engage with me today. So
Well,
thank
thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
This
Thank
has been
you.
fun.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like we could keep going, but we try and keep this
Yes.
episode, we try and keep it a certain length. So
Great.
no, but thank you. If you're going to be in New York City between now and December 15th, you've got to try and get tickets to Ship Meet Fan. There are there are still tickets available for the extension dates. And if you enjoyed this conversation with Robert O'Hara, you'll probably love the recent interview I did with the incredible Lydia Diamond as well. So be sure to
Mm.
check that out. That's it for today, folks. Thank you to all of our listeners for tapping into this episode of The Actor's Instrument. If you're streaming, give us a follow. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a beat. I'm Hassiem Muhammad. We'll be back next Tuesday.
Bye bye.
Peace. Thank you for listening to The Actor's Instrument. I'm Hassiem Muhammad, and you can follow me at Hassiem Muhammad and the show at Actors Instrument Podcast on all social media platforms. The Actors Instrument is a presentation of Red Letter Entertainment. Executive producers, Adam Jellicourse, Serena Esposito, and yours truly. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and check us out at theactorsinstrument.com. We'll be back next Tuesday. Till next time, y'all. Peace.